Brothers and sisters, please welcome the leader of the House Democratic Party, Representative Nancy Pelosi of California.
Good morning, everyone, brothers and sisters. Thank you for the opportunity to visit with you this morning. I bring greetings from the Democrats in the Congress of the United States and gratitude to all of you for what you do for America. I'm proud to be escorted to the podium by the California members of the letter carriers, John Beaumont for one. Others I'll name in a moment. But thank you to our Californians. And since they're standing here for the length of my speech, I'll try to be not as long as I did when I spoke for 8 hours about Dreamers on the floor of the House. It's an honor to return to the heartland of America's manufacturing, the great city of Detroit, Michigan, and of course, to be here with Fred Rolando, your president. Fred Rolando, all the things that he mentioned, I accept your compliment on behalf of the courage of our House Democrats and Senate Democrats who took the tough votes and had the courage to do so. But none of our internal maneuvering would have been possible without the outside mobilization, the strength that all of you gave in those fights. And I can tell you in terms of your president, some of your members in the back there when we were chatting said, Fred Rolando, he's a blessing. That we all agree. Fred Rolando, you are a blessing. Thank you so much. And he has your interest at heart and the interest of America's working families. So again, here we are in the Motor City with America's letter carriers to celebrate 129 extraordinary years of fraternity, fidelity, benevolence, and unity. Since your founding day in Schaefer's Saloon, the men and women of the National Association of Letter Carriers have advanced progress and better futures, not only for letter carriers, but for all workers. We're all so grateful for the visionary, relentless, and lifelong leadership, again, of your president, Fred Rolando. And that's an applause line. He knows how relentless, persistent, and sometimes dissatisfied he has been when things don't move at the pace that he wants. But he sets the pace, as do all of you. Thank you also to the entire executive leadership team and the many outstanding leaders here today, including some from my home state. Our Cal State Association President, Mr. Kelso, can't be with us, but I want to acknowledge his great leadership. Our Cal State Association Vice President, Ron Jones. Where's Ron? There's Ron Jones that's with us. Former Cal State Association President John Beaumont, my friend for many, many years. National Business Agent Brian Almario. Brian, where's Brian go? Where's Brian? Letter Carrier Congressional Liaison Kyle Nelson. And Branch 214, San Francisco, where I'm from, Karen Escobar. Karen Escobar. Karen, where's Karen? Karen and I had coffee on the elevator this morning. Thank you, Karen. Thank you so much. America's letter carriers are the lifeblood of the American economy. I just want to tell you this one thing, because I'm a person of faith and I see everything in terms of my religion. And this is how you come into that picture. When those of you who may be Catholic and go to church, you see St. Paul to the Corinthians, St. Paul to the Ephesians, St. Paul to the this and to that. It was the letters of St. Paul that spread Christianity. Again, if the Romans had not built roads, there would not have been a mail system. But the mail system was the connection, the spread. So I feel deeply indebted to the tradition of mail carriers, to the spread of a faith that I hold dear. But it is a tradition of unifying a country, unifying people. And it should be respected. You are such leaders in the community. I mean, so many of us know our letter carriers personally. And that spirit of community service, in addition to spreading the word, is something very valued. You bind the nation and the world together, connecting friends, family, and the far-flung communities and businesses. Every corner of the country relies on you, not only as letter carriers, but as neighbors and community leaders. More than 1/4 of you have served our country in uniform, and let us hear it for our men and women in uniform. Your service, not country. On behalf of the Congress and the country, let me express our gratitude for your service then and now. We owe you a future worthy of your sacrifice and that of your families as well. It also gives me great pride to know that for 1/3 of the National Association of Letter Carriers are women. Because when women succeed, America succeeds. And a salute not only to the letter carriers, but the entire union movement for being in the lead. No entity has done more than organized labor to promote equal pay for equal work for women. So thank you for that. Democrats in Congress are proud to stand with America's letter carriers in a spirit of solidarity. Our unity is needed now more than ever, as workers and unions face an unprecedented assault on their freedoms. Just this week, as was mentioned by your President Rolando, Democrats defeated a cynical Republican effort to deny the Postal Service the opportunity to generate revenue by offering banking and financial services. Wouldn't that be a wonderful opportunity? Why would they be willing to deny that? We got a few Republican votes, and we're grateful for that, but we do not want the opposition of the Republican leadership to these initiatives. The amendment would also kill new initiatives to allow you to negotiate new business ideas through the collective bargaining process. And that collective bargaining process is under assault. No collective bargaining, no NLRB, no OSHA for safety in the workplace. It's not only in the Congress, but in the courts. And these are fights that we have to make, not just, well, that would be sufficient reason enough for America's working families and organized labor, but for our economy in general. What you do and what you fight for benefits everyone in our country, and we want the recognition of that fact. But the assault on your rights continues every day. The Supreme Court, I call it the Supreme Court, C-O-R-P, like a corporation. The Supreme Court and many politicians will remain cruelly focused on pushing a cynical special interest agenda that puts the interest of the wealthy and the well-connected ahead of America's working families. And so this is our democratic message to America's letter carriers. To those who wish to kill your jobs and curb your benefits and cut your wages, who wish to contract out your work and close your doors, to those who wish to end six-day mail delivery, eliminate door delivery, and erode your service, we say no. 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 We don't say no. And Democrats do not support the Trump privatization plan, which tries to rip away your control of the Postal Service and put it in the hands of special interest. We say no. We will fight any plan that prevents you from fighting for the better wages, better benefits, and the better futures you deserve. Democrats also stand with you to defend your pensions and health benefits and from those who want to take them away, and there are those who want to take them away. Every day, the manufactured crisis of pre-funding retiree health benefits starves the Postal Service of urgently needed funds, triggering service cuts and denying you the pension guarantees that you have earned. Congress should solve this crisis, and we could do it in a heartbeat. We love to do it in a bipartisan way. We want to do it in a bipartisan way. We are urging the Republican leadership to join us in passing legislation to eliminate the yearly pre-funded mandate payment and to order the Treasury to return the billions of dollars you were forced to hand over. And Democrats will fight any measure that fails to provide a long-term solution or that exploits this crisis to push an anti-worker agenda. This is what's going on there, beyond the letter carriers, just in Washington. That's why we have a better deal as opposed to the raw deal, better jobs, better pay. And it's all for the people to address the apprehensions as well as the beautiful aspirations that families have. But financial instability is a barrier to that, and that is something bigger than politics. It's bigger than Democrats and Republicans. It's about decisions we make as a country to respect the value of work, to have a fair budget, not one that has a tax bill that gives 83% of the benefits to the top 1% of rich people in our country, and then says, oh my gosh, we have over a $2 trillion debt now because of the tax bill, $2 trillion addition to the debt, robbing from our children's future. So I guess we'll have to cut a couple $1 trillion from Medicare and Medicaid, and even some more from Social Security, food stamps, and the rest. And there are over 1 million veterans who depend on food stamps, over 1 million veterans who are dependent on Medicaid as a middle-class benefit. People with disabilities, a Social Security disability benefit cut in their plan. What are they thinking? Who are they there for? This is a crusade. Again, I talked about my Catholicism and being a person of faith, and I always like to quote St. Augustine, 1,700 years ago, 17 centuries ago, he said, any government that does not exist to promote justice is just a bunch of thieves. That's what he said. That's what he said. He was quoted St. Augustine, do you hear the applause you got? He was quoted in an encyclical that was written by Pope Benedict called God is Love. And Pope Benedict goes on to say, following St. Augustine, his favorite saint's phrase, he said, sometimes, though, it's difficult to define what justice is. But in doing so, we must be cautious of the dazzling blindness of power and money and special interest. And that is the challenge that we have right now. We have a challenge to promote justice. We have a challenge that our founders said to us, and this month of July, but every month we are grateful to them for their leadership and strength and to make founding documents amendable so that we could even expand freedom further than they had in mind at the time. But they gave us this guidance, e pluribus unum, from many one. They couldn't possibly imagine how many we would be, how many there would be right here, and how different we might be from each other. But they knew that we had to be one. And so we have a responsibility to try to work in a nonpartisan way to get the results that we need for the American people, to be unifying in how we go forward, to be transparent and open on how, so that the public can weigh in the outside mobilization so necessary to do great things for our country. And we have to do it, again, as honoring their vows of being one. But if we can't find that common ground, we must stand our ground. And in the elections, they have many outcomes. Election can be about who wins, what person, but also at stake in elections of what is important. And whoever wins, the American people must win, and America's working families must win. So we must make the elections about a referendum on whose side are you on. Are you on the side of America's working families? And we know that organized labor, whether a person is a member of a union or not, every worker in America benefits from the leadership and advocacy of the organized labor. So thank you for that. We also know that what the fight for America's working families and their financial stability and success is not just important to the family. That would be reason enough, but it's not just about that. It's about strengthening the economy of America. It's about bubbling up the success rather than the failed trickle-down policies that have never worked to create good-paying jobs and reduce the deficit. So Democrats and the National Letter Carriers of America must come together in a spirit of solidarity to defend your right to fight for better wages, working conditions, and futures. You know what we say, we don't agonize, we organize. We organize. So are you ready to organize? Are you ready to organize to make sure that whoever is running for office understands that what comes first are America's working families. America's working families, the middle class of America, and those who aspire to it, are the backbone of America's democracy, fairness and opportunity, the strength of our country. And that middle class, that middle class has a union label on it. We would not be where we are today. And in reaching for more without organized labor. So together, let's strengthen our great institution of our American democracy. Are you ready for a great victory for America's working families in November? I hope it's a Democratic victory, but let's make sure it's a victory for our letter carriers and America's working families. Thank all of you. Thanks, Fred Rolando. Thank you, John Beaumont, and our Californians. Onward to great victory for America's working families. Thank you all very much. I wasn't too partisan.
Give me 1 minute here. Speaker Pelosi, please accept this gift as a small token of our appreciation for you being here with us today. How about a letter carrier chair for Speaker Pelosi? Hip, hip! Hooray! Hip, hip! Hooray! Hip, hip! Hooray!
I will display this with great pride as an inspiration that all of you are to us. Thank you for keeping America united and connected. Thank you, Fred Rolando, for your tremendous leadership.
Thanks so much for being here.